Hello my fellow whale watchers, today I will show you the Beacon Rush battle where I set my new damage record. While you're watching I will explain you some tactics that I've used. Hopefully it will be useful for your own Beacon Rush gameplay. Let's go! We start with the Phantom and we run with two Capris here right at the start. Of course they link themselves up too, so I'm not too worried that we won't get Beacon A here. So let's stop here for a second. We are playing Beacon Rush, so the right thing to do in this situation is not to go for Beacon A, but the right choice is to go straight for Beacon B, because maybe there is a chance that we can get that one too then. In these situations, always think about what's best for your team, especially in the first minute of a Beacon Rush game, because such moves at the start can decide the whole battle. And actually, we will manage to get this beacon. We don't know that yet, of course, but this move will indeed decide this battle. The fact that the Reds don't get this beacon at the start will give us the couple of seconds that we need in the end. So let's fast forward here a bit, otherwise this video will take a little bit too long. We will get beacon A finally. We will be a bit obnoxious with the Phantom before we die. And then we find ourselves in this situation here. Everything looks like it's under control, but don't let this pretty picture fool you. In Beacon Rush, things can turn rapidly. And what I don't know at this point is that our team actually only has 5 players. So these are my options. What would you do in this situation? Feel free to pause and think for a few seconds. Alright, here is what I did. I dropped the Orochi at our spawn and go for Beacon C. This is the most strategically important beacon in Abyss Beacon Rush. The reason is that it controls the 2 teleports. Later in this game I will show you a great example for what I mean by that. So let's fast forward a bit again. We will indeed get C, but then a Luchador with Cinders goes there, which is something like the hard counter to our Orochi. Without team support there will be no chance whatsoever to hold this beacon, so I do the only thing that makes sense and run away, trying to support my team elsewhere. For example, here. Let's do some mid-range damage support with our punchers. But our team seems to do fine here, so I decide to attack E instead. I see chances to get it or to at least turn it white, so I'm just being obnoxious here and try to take out a few key targets too. And then we find ourselves in this situation here. These are my options. What would you do? Here is what I did. Beacon B seems safe, but Beacon A is challenged, so I try to support my buddy here and therefore think it's a good idea to drop my Havoc Ravana at B and then help out at A. In general, I think this was a reasonable decision, but I have to admit that I didn't pay enough attention on what this red player at A is in. So in the end, I found myself taking on a maxed Luchador heads on, which is something like the best counter to a Havoc Ravana. I didn't play very smartly here, I have to admit, so he just steamrolls me with basically taking no damage, but no time to moan here. After we die, we found ourselves in this situation here. And that looks really bad. So what would you do in this situation? Again, take a few seconds. So here is a small hint for situations like this on Abyss. It is unlikely but not impossible to turn this around. Your best shot is to get C here. Why? Because if your team drops in here, it has good options to go to all beacons from there. And that's what we will do here. And I need to be able to hold it too, so I bring my Luchador right away. I ignore the red Luchador that jumps in and hope that my team can deal with it. Instead, I try to get C. This is my mission here. I can brawl it out later. There is a Fenrir and I can toast it a little bit, but while shooting it, I walk directly towards C. If you want to improve your gameplay, this is a skill that you should train. Shooting somebody while you move to another destination at the same time. Battles can be won by beacon control or by deleting the red team, but you should always work towards both of these 2 goals. Often players forget that there are also beacons on the battlefield because they are so absorbed in shooting their opponents. So in the end I get C and I am contemplating my next move. There are a few good options here, taking one of the teleports, staying here, or go back to secure our home beacon. But the Luchador is a point-blank brawler. It is designed to take out opponents from short distance, so I decide to go towards the red home beacon and take on the enemy titans there, together with one of my teammates. Just before I die, I jump on B in order to maximize what I can do for my team here. And finally we'll find ourselves in this situation now. This looks a bit better than before now. We hold 2 beacons, What would you do here? Again, think about it for a few seconds. These are my remaining options. So remember, I told you before that C is the most strategic beacon on this map, and that I will show you an example for that later in the battle. So here is this example. We see that 2 reds hold D and that 4 reds are focused on beacon E, 3 of them around B. I have a very good beacon capper left, which is my shell, so the plan is that I spawn at C and go through a teleport. At B, the reds will most probably see me and jump on me, but what about A? Let's see what happens. We take the teleport, nuke the reds on our home beacon because why not, and we can indeed take A, basically for free. Now that we got it, we can support our team in order to get B from another flank. Let me speed up here again a little bit. Perfect. Then we take out this Jun that just suicides himself for no reason. Nice. And now we see that the reds have attacked A in the meantime. Probably they came through the teleports and from our home beacon, which is red. And these situations are the situations where the shell with brawling weapons and nuclear amplifier can really shine. Groups of opponents with lots of health, so let's just run there and help our team with these tanks point blank. In case we should be able to get a beacon, we will have chances to win this battle. Let's forward a bit again. Beyond godlike. I think the situation here contributed quite a lot to my new damage record. We got A back, and now I decide to try to get our home beacon back as well. A luchador just jumped on there. Usually it's difficult to take on maxed luchadors with my shell, but in this case my nuclear amplifier is almost maxed out, so I'm confident that I can bring it down. Let's see. Yes! Titan Slayer. Our amplifier is maxed in the meantime, so let's bring that Fafnir down quickly too. And now comes a very strange situation. A Revenant jumps in, but it does not move and barely takes damage. I don't really know what's happening, so I try to push it out of the beacon circle, so that I can turn the beacon blue. This is another small trick that you can also use with opponents that are locked. And now watch this. Suddenly he appears behind me. So I don't want to excuse this guy of cheating, but boy, that was some huge lag that he had in the exact moment where he needed it. Thanks to a maxed nuclear amplifier, we now have defense mitigation active, but we won't be able to bring down this Revenant without team support, so we die. We find ourselves in this situation with our last spot, the Cramola Capri, left to spawn. Again, there are a few options here. What would you do in this situation? So now the particular situation that we're in becomes very relevant for this decision. One option here is to drop on our spawn and try going for C. However, this is quite some risk. The reds are maybe waiting for that, and it also takes a while. If we were in mid-game, or if our situation was more favorable, I would probably jump in at E. I could link to my teammate here and play out my role as mid-range support damage dealer. But we only have 1.5 minutes left to play. We only hold 2 beacons and we are behind on the beacon bar. E seems safe, but if we lose B here, we will lose very quickly. In a squad, I can communicate with our guy here, ask if he feels comfortable holding that beacon, but with randoms, I don't know if I can trust this guy to stay on the blue beacon here. So I decide to jump on B, help to keep the blue, and try to get the other red beacons from there. So here we are 2 Capris against an Orochi, and we need to get him out of the way first. Finally, a red Capri also shows up, but we will deal with that one later, and finally we managed to kill that Orochi. That was important because he could have caused all sorts of trouble. And here now comes the situation that will decide this battle. And it's not obvious to see at first glance. So again, let's stop here for a second, look at the situation here. The important thing to realize is that we are on a blue beacon, but that beacon A on the other side of this building is white. So what does that mean? It means that here at our location we actually don't have anything to gain with regard to beacon control. But my teammate there at B is fighting to turn a white beacon blue. So what do we need to do here in this situation? The answer is, I will stay on the beacon and keep it blue, but I will shoot the guy at A, so that my teammate there will be able to get the advantage and finally turn this beacon blue. This is what we have to gain here, and it was important in this situation to realize that. Otherwise we would have lost. So that's what we do. We shoot the guy at A while staying on B, keeping it blue. Let's fast forward a bit. Finally, the guy goes down, our guy is released and can turn beacon A blue now. Nice. We're still a bit behind on the beacon bar, but there are two ways to win this battle now. I believe that our guy on B here will be able to hold down our beacon. I think that I can trust him. So I allow myself to go somewhere else. The first possibility to win this battle is to go through the teleport and try to turn C blue. There is a bit of risk, however, because we leave beacon E undefended, and if somebody turns E while we try to get to C somehow, we will lose. So I will now go for a more conservative approach. I will not go towards C through the teleport, but via beacon E. Like this, it takes a little bit longer, but I'm also more reactive depending on where our opponents jump in. And as a bonus, I can lock beacon E down if needed. And indeed, the remaining red player drops in at the red spawn with a Havoc Ravana, so he clearly has the intention to go towards E. At this point, I still have the option to go towards C, but it would be an unnecessary risk. I may or may not be able to turn C, but the Ravana will turn E for sure. So since my team in the meantime has advanced on our home beacon, I decided that the best option here is to lock E down in the last seconds of this battle, and that's what we will do. This will give us exactly enough momentum to turn this battle around, some 2 seconds before the end, when we overtook our opponents on the beacon bar before time ran out. What a great battle that was! There were a few top players in there, most of them from iOS. Great jobs also by the red team, they really gave us a hard time to win this epic fight. And congratulations also to my team, respect for turning around a 5 vs 6 on Abyss. That does not happen every day. This was the battle that has led to my new pure damage record. In the statistics, for the first time, I will now have a maximum pure damage count of more than 7 million, another milestone achieved. Thanks for listening in again and see you on my channel.